Well, folks, it looks like Wizards of the Coast is going to have to look elsewhere for the next developer for a follow-on or expansions to Baldur's Gate 3, its runaway 2023 video game success. But before we get into that, of course, I'd like to remind you that this video is brought to you by our friends at Hellebarde Games. Hellebarde makes the kind of adventures they'd like to play, whether it's for Castles and Crusades, 5th edition, or the OSR. Old School is in play at the table with Hellebarde, and you can find them on their website at hellebardegames.com or on DriveThruRPG. Click the link in the description below to check out a whole series of great adventures for your gaming table. So this comes to us from Polygon, and I will link the article below, of course. And this is a rather surprising bit of news. So let's check this out. This is by Carly Veloci over at Polygon. Larian Studios won't make any more Baldur's Gate games. The studio isn't making the obvious next move. Now that Baldur's Gate 3 has been a huge success both critically and financially, people are looking forward to see what's next for developer Larian Studios. However, according to studio founder Sven Vink, the future doesn't lie with the Baldur's Gate franchise or Dungeons & Dragons as a whole. During a talk at the Game Developers Conference on Thursday, spotted by IGN and confirmed by Polygon in a video on the official conference TikTok, Vink said that Larian won't be working on any DLC expansions or a sequel for the game. It would be handing the IP back to Wizards of the Coast and moving on to unrelated projects. Baldur's Gate 3 will always have a heart, a warm spot in our hearts. We'll forever be proud of it, but we're not going to continue it. We're not going to make new expansions, which everybody is expecting us to do. We're not going to make Baldur's Gate 4, which everybody is expecting us to do. We're going to move on. We're going to move away from D&D, and we're going to start making a new thing. Michael Dowse, director of publishing at Larian, confirmed the news in a post on X, formerly Twitter. Had a lot of time to reflect on this incredible adventure, as everyone has, and I can't explain how excited I am for the next. Hope you join us for that, he wrote. Vink spoke more about the decision with GameSpot. He explained that he initially wanted to make more Baldur's Gate, but decided against it. That's not what we were made for. That's literally the opposite of what Larian is about. We want to do big, new things. We don't want to rehash the thing that we've done already. All of this doesn't mean Larian won't continue to work on Baldur's Gate 3. Just last month, Dowse announced that the team would be working on a cross-platform plan for mod support, with implementation still many months away. Hasbro, which owned Wizards of the Coast, recognized how successful Baldur's Gate 3 was in its 2023 financial report released last month. It stated that much of the Wizards of the Coast and digital gaming's growth can be attributed to Monopoly Go, Magic the Gathering, and Baldur's Gate 3. It has also been a huge success critically, winning multiple awards. Just a day before the announcement, Baldur's Gate 3 won 4 trophies at the Game Developers' Choice Awards, including Game of the Year. It also won Game of the Year at the Game Awards in 2023. Hasbro is therefore interested in growing its gaming output and leaning on the Baldur's Gate franchise, as company CEO Chris Cox mentioned in an earnings call to coincide with the report. 2024 is about returning consumer products to profitability, investing for the long-term momentum in games, and driving significant improvements in Hasbro's bottom line. In short, we're putting all the right pieces together to keep investing in our growth initiatives while expanding the ways our franchises reach fans through digital games. We expect a long tail into 2024 and beyond for this mega hit. However, Wizards of the Coast was hit with layoffs right before Christmas 2023, massively impacting the D&D and Magic teams. This includes the team that helped with Baldur's Gate 3, according to Vink. Now, that last bit is what I want to focus on, but in a second, in case you're not aware, and I realize that some of you might not be, the Baldur's Gate 3 Legacy goes all the way back into 2nd edition AD&D. If you had 1st edition AD&D characters you liked, it was really easy to type them up in Baldur's Gate and play some of those characters. So that's how deep the roots of Baldur's Gate run. They go all the way back into 2E, which I know a lot of people kind of consider under the old school umbrella, which is why I thought bringing you this article would be important. So this strikes me as being a little, well, it's interesting and it's telling that Larian would just pull up stakes with such a widely acclaimed game. Something that was just a runaway mega hit, and they're turning their backs on it effectively. Now, they say, of course, in the article, they're going to focus on making it moddable and so on and et cetera. And while I think that's wonderful, and I know a lot of people are going to come out with probably with some absolutely fantastic mods for it, I do I do wonder, because I'm sure many of you folks out there have probably seen studios for various projects say, oh, no, we're moving on, but we're going to continue to support this. And that support dwindles away almost immediately. So I wonder how the legs of that support are going to go. And I do, I personally think that the layoffs that included the team that helped with Baldur's Gate 3, if perhaps some of the decision making wasn't because Larian Studios saw the writing on the wall. They saw that Wizards of the Coast was cutting people away, people that they could interface with and make the best game that they possibly could. And in seeing those people get cut away, was that then a clarion call for Larian to move on? And my initial thought when I heard this was, hey, Larian's not going to be making Baldur's Gate 3 anymore, was that Wizards of the Coast had cut them loose, which would have been a foolish decision, in my opinion. But I think this probably caught Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro a bit off guard, because again, regardless of what we might think about 5th edition and the rules implementation, and indeed some of the story stuff, because we've talked before about some of the romance options in Baldur's Gate 3, but with some of that set aside, my initial thought was, again, that Wizards of the Coast had pulled a string and brushed aside Larian Studios, but no, it was the other way around. And so, and again, given what happened at the end of 2023, beginning of 2024, with the deep money-saving cuts, if perhaps Wizards of the Coast, and of course at the behest of Hasbro, that they didn't in fact cut too deep and force Larian to decide to move on, knowing that they were not going to get the support from Wizards of the Coast that they might have. But of course, I'd like to know what you guys think about this, so please leave a comment below and let me know how you feel about this. And if you like this video, do give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please click the subscribe button and click the bell icon for notifications. And, we'll have more of these videos. I've got some more news videos coming very soon. But until then, guys, what can I say? Just reboot maybe and try playing a little bit of the original Baldur's Gate. It's a lot of fun, and you can pick it up pretty inexpensively on Steam and good old games. Until then, guys, peace.